in Facebook. We're live in Facebook.
Welcome,
All right.
everybody. Happy Monday. It is beautiful here in Cincinnati. We actually have some nice warm weather. I know we're over on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, let us know where you're tuning in from, whether it is Florida, California, United States, Canada, Australia. I mean, you could be anywhere in this world and doing this real estate. So let us know where you're tuning in from. We want to know where you're at and where your market is because we might be able to break down a deal for you. So, Mark, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Can't complain. We had the most, like when I say the weather's been beautiful, like Friday, I had to stop work. I couldn't work on Friday. It was so beautiful. I mean, seriously. In the winter times though, that's kind of what I do. I make it where I can work or I don't have to work in the winter times in Florida. But it was like 73, 72, 73. For us, we never get low humidity. Our humidity level is like at 30%. And it was just I went to this. So what happened was I really cut back on my drinking. And so that morning I usually have a cappuccino at home and then I had a second one. And it was so nice out after the gym. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go meet another buddy for a coffee. On Fridays we usually do some coffee talk real estate and we talk politics or whatever. I shouldn't be doing that. But so I had a coffee there, and my other buddy was like, oh, I'm going over this other place. So I shot over there, met him over there for a cup of coffee, and we're talking business, and it was just so beautiful out. So then I'm like, my other buddy's like, oh, I'm gonna end up coming back this place. It's like an area where there's a lot of coffee, restaurants, and shopping. So it's a beautiful place to hang out. So I'm like, all right, I went home and I was home for 3 hours, shower, get ready to go back out. I'm like, oh, I'll have another cup of coffee before I head out. So, and I get there, this place is, it's called Meisner Park and Max's. And then, anyways, I wasn't drinking. I'm like, all right, drinking yet because this was like 4:30. It was so beautiful out, and I just wanted to socialize and be out. And it was mobbed. Everybody was out and about. It was packed at 4 o'clock, 4:30 on a Friday. Just because the weather was so
Yeah.
gorgeous. So I had another cappuccino. So then I switched to an espresso martini, and I go home. I get home about 9, almost 9 o'clock, and I'm laying in bed, and it's like 10:30. I'm like, why can't I sleep? I
Yeah,
didn't
because this was like
realize I had
4:30.
seven.
Yeah, a
I
lot of
realized I had
coffee.
7 of them. I never have that much coffee. It's just I didn't. It just was going and going, and I tried to cut back on the alcohol. So, anyways, let's talk real estate. Loving it, loving it, loving it. Just before we got on here, I switched my weekly coaching with my paid members. The members in the members program from Tuesday to Wednesday, and it was great. We had an
Tuesday to
amazing
Monday.
call. Yes, we switched it from Tuesday to Monday. So it's 5:30 to like 7, and it was great. We had a good call. Kyle was doing some more deals. We're all talking about the market, and because what's happening is the current administration, I don't know if you saw this, is bringing a lot of capital outside the country. Like today, I guess Hyundai announced that they're going to be bringing 20 or 30 billion dollars to build a plant in Indiana. So all these companies are bringing capital in. So we're sitting there talking like, hey, let's focus now where they're going to be start doing a lot of development, like building new factories and doing all these things. So you can start out with like, the midterm rental and then eventually long term. But those are going to be great markets because the prices are going to jumping up. So we want to go focus on those markets on seller financing strategies. So that's kind of what we really got into, and that's what we talked about. Like just like the chips, all the chips, if you look what happened in Austin, Texas, and I don't want to get political, but this is another example. Um, so in his first term when he ran, we had high corporate taxes. So what happens is in high corporate taxes, like GE, Google, Facebook, X, all these big companies, when there's high corporate tax in a country, they park the money offshore, like in Dublin and Zurich, because they don't want to bring the money back in because it's lower taxes. Well, what happened was, and when he got in the office, he lowered corporate taxes and he did what's called a holiday tax. I don't, do you remember that at all? A holiday tax?
I don't know.
So in 2017, he did what was called a holiday tax.
Okay.
And Apple brought in over 200 billion dollars in tax free that they parked off. So this is what happens. They parked the money off there and they brought it in. Well, part of the agreement was during the holiday tax is that they build $1 billion Apple plant in Austin, Texas. Look at what happened in Austin, Texas. That area bloom. It took off. Airbnb, a lot of the corporate came in there. So that's an example of you have to look at whatever administration is, look at the policies and what they're doing. And us as in real estate investors, how do we capitalize on that? So that's what we really talked about that today and strategized. Before that, the current administration before that, we capitalized on. They threw a lot of money into housing, so we capitalized and our market strategy was more Section 8 rental because they're throwing so much money at it. So us as investors, depending on what administration, you got to recognize what the policies are and how do we adjust our investment strategies and how to capitalize on it. So that's what today was. So the last administration we capitalized really well. As I talked about, I had I went after Section 8, and they gave me for a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, 875 square feet. They gave me $35,000 to redo that apartment. Do you believe that? 35,000. You
That's
think it really?
crazy.
That's so you have to understand that administration of where to shift and capitalize. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Hey, this administration may tighten up the Section 8 a little bit, so be very cautious and let's focus on where all this money is coming in and where these plants are, the chips, all these chips. I think you guys are having a chip plant built
Columbus.
up near you, right?
Yeah, Columbus is huge. Columbus just got they have Columbus is the next Austin. So,
So that market is ready, prime. So you want to start focusing now, trying to
mhm.
find properties to sellers that are motivated, hurting, get in there, get a tenant in there, like a midterm, long term, to make sure it covers your debt. And then within 5 years, look at what happened with Austin over those 5 years. It exploded. Now it exploded so much it is pulled back because it got oversaturated with Airbnb. But recognize that as an investor, okay, we have too much Airbnb coming online. Let's dump ours and take the capital and go on. So you have to forecast and see that, and so that's one of the things we talk about. So Matt, we'll let you take control instead of me running my mouth over here. So
Oh, that's good. That's what we
let's get
want.
into some questions. But
Yeah.
yes, but that's what we talked about. That was the big thing, and we're all analyzing and what markets and what they're focusing on, and it was really, really good in depth today. So the guys were they were high level guys that were on it today. So it was interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I mean it's huge. I mean that's a huge thing is finding those jobs in the area that's going to be building. So, um, that's great. So if you guys are over on Facebook, welcome in. Happy to have you. If you're over here on Zoom, welcome. If you guys don't know over on Facebook, we are also on Zoom. So if you look in the chat, there is actually a link to join us over on the Zoom so you can get direct access to ask anything you want. I mean, you can ask it on the text, but if you want to hop on here and have a dialogue back and forth, feel free. It's more preferred to have you to where you can unmute your mic and ask your own questions because I can't always determine what you're always thinking in your brain. So your brain might be a little different. So let us know over on Facebook and over here on Zoom where you're tuning in from, what city, what state. We kind of want to know what you got going on, what you have cooking. So let us know. We got some people up. I see people hopping in now from Facebook. There we go. That's what we like to see. Hop on in, hop on in. We're glad to have you in here. Mark's here to answer your questions and everybody and my questions. So I have some questions for Mark as always. So uh, I'm always learning. I like to learn as much as I can. Mark, Mark, real quick, can you go over what type of experience you have?
Oh boy, a lot. And I don't. It's not bragging, but I just been at this a long time. I started in 1995, May of 1995. That's when I started. So
Coming up
it's gonna
on
be
20,
30.
30
It's
years.
gonna be
Yeah.
30 years. Isn't that
I guess I'm
crazy?
third. I was born in '93, so you know,
Think about that. Isn't that crazy?
that's
Wow. But I did my first deal when I was 19, so you weren't even born yet when I did my first deal. But but I've seen it all. I've done all these strategies. So I talk about seller financing strategies. We talk about subject to. We talk about lease options, sandwich lease options. We talk agreement for deed, land contract, novation, goes on and on. And then what happens is you end up doing creative seller financing deals that are not even a terminology for them. And nowadays they call them wraps. Back then we call them sandwiches. So there's a lot of different terminologies, and different gurus come out and it's the same strategy, but they're remarketing it and spinning it and calling it something different, that type of thing. But yeah, I started in 1995, really full time, and I started out doing real estate banking. I had my investors. I started doing what's called sandwich lease options. Those are great. I love that strategy, especially if you don't have a lot of capital and it's less risky compared to subject to. Subject to is it can be very risky. Just need to make sure you know what you're doing in that area on that. So that's kind of one of the strategies I like. Love subject to, and I love agreement. I love all the seller financing strategies, and that's why I love it, because everything is negotiable with the seller. Just like when I first got into the business, we used to be able to have negotiable you'd be able to negotiate with your underwriter. Nowadays it's just automated computer systems underwrites it and kind of go through it. So I've done over 500 million, thousands of residential, commercial, businesses, and right now I've been really focusing on mobile home parks um because the high interest rates, affordability factor, I've been really focusing on that. um Florida, I love Florida, but I don't focus on Florida right now because the numbers in Florida are not making sense. We try to underwrite. So I love where what we call is the 1% rule.
Hmm.
Ohio's a great market right now. Alabama, Indianapolis, there's a lot of great markets still. So I really enjoy that. So, anyways, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Awesome. There's some experience there. And hello, Layla. We like to see cameras on for everybody. Hope you guys are having a great day. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute your mic. What's up, Ivan? We got Ivan hopping in here now. Welcome in.
Hey, yeah, I got a quick question. Mark, you said something earlier at the beginning of the call about different companies coming into different markets. Is there an easy resource, um, like a one-stop shop to kind of identify that?
I know it is hard. I would probably throw chat. I would throw it in the chat GTP and kind of have it consolidate, because they'll take all the
Good
different
idea.
resources. That's kind of what I would do. And actually, that's what we were talking about earlier of all the different companies. But I would say, hey, give me a list of all the companies spending 20 billion or more. I know, because there's a lot of them spending, and then where they're going to be investing their capital, creating jobs in businesses. So then you can kind of narrow it down from there. And then I would narrow it down, like, whatever your buy box is. Like I have my buy box. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities coming through. So that's kind of what I would do, is use Chat GTP, because it's every time we turn around, there's another company coming in, and the only information that we're getting that from right now is through the news agencies. And then Chat GTP can go out there and look at it and kind of consolidate it for you. I'm assuming you've used Chat.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, that's a good idea. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, that's gonna. I pretty much go to that before Google nowadays. It's just you
All
get better
right.
results and more. It's just better, unless it's looking for travel, or travel different things. But for that type of information, I'm always going over to chat, and then it'll even organize it for you.
Find some business couriers as well. Some business couriers, they put out a lot before even the mainstream media gets them. So find the big markets that might have that type of opportunity and grab the business courier.
And I'm sure it's probably posted somewhere on the government's website, probably in the White House website or something like that. I'm sure a lot of. But Matt, yeah, that's a great idea there.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are great. I mean, just look at areas of just look at past history of where a lot of companies come in, and you see the growth that happens in those communities.
Can I ask a question?
Shoot away.
Um,
How are you?
so I'm good. So I'm a complete newbie. How do I start? Like, where do I even look?
Start at places just like you're doing right now. You're taking action. That's the first place to start. Taking action and start educating yourself. A lot of times people are afraid to take action. It's a lot easier, and just really start networking and just start. The One of the things with new people is we get what's called the shiny object syndrome. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but there's so many ways of making money in real estate. You can get pulled in 100 different directions. So you want to focus on one direction, kind of master that, And then from there, you can kind of, once you start making money off that one strategy, because I see so many people come in, they start learning a strategy, they're spending a month, 2 months learning a certain strategy. They haven't done a deal yet. And then they're like, oh, I want to learn this strategy and then this strategy, and you get analysis. So you want to start making money first, and have the income coming in, because that income will give you a lot more opportunity to do more deals. For me, I like starting out with like learning the sandwich lease option. It depends on your capital reserves, but that capital, I didn't have a lot of money when I got into it. So I wanted to learn how to do it with very little money. And lease options are a great way. Sandwich lease options are a great way to do it, because you're going under contract with a seller as as a rent to own, allowing you to sublet it, and then you put your tenant buyer in there. That's a great way. But you could also, but now once you understand that, like agreement for deed, subject to installment, you have to listen to the seller. And I don't know if you ever listen to me on stuff. I always say you want to listen to the seller and figure out what the seller's needs are, and that's how you determine it. Um, Again, it's like a marriage. So when you're talking to a seller, you want to build, it's all about building a relationship, because you're in a contract with these people 3, 5, 7, 10, 30 years, whatever it may be. So the first time when I'm talking to a seller, 80% of my phone calls building a relationship with them. We're getting to know each other. I'm talking about, we're building a really, before I even get into the deal. I'm just, now if I, because I always like to know, like, all right, what's going on in this whatever market I'm calling and working in. I want to educate myself in a market. What's the baseball team? What's the football team? You know what? Because they're, especially, in certain markets, everybody, it's a sports town. Most places it's sports, so everybody, right now they're all going through the college, basketball, what is it called, March Madness. So if it is a team that knows on what's going on in March Madness right now, hey, how's your team doing, or whatever. So you just want to build that rapport, and if you can't do it, and you don't know how to do it, start talking about the property. Hey, walk me through the front door of the property. What am I looking at? Have them start describing the home, and have them, and then, what's the neighborhood like? How's the neighbors? Start talking about neighbors and the neighbor, because they'll start talking about that, and then you start building rapport, and then you can relate to your neighbors that you may have had a good relationship with, so you can kind of build some type of bond or rapport with them on that. So it's all about that. And then one of the other things is if they start asking you a lot of questions, you want to flip it. He who asks questions is the one in control of the conversation. So just start asking questions. If you feel, a lot of times people, when they're new, they're afraid to ask questions, afraid because the seller's asking them questions, but you're the buyer. So kind of always reverse it. Start asking questions about the property if you feel like they're pinning you in a corner. But you want to build a relationship. Just think of like when you went on that date with your significant other the first time, you guys are just building rapport. And then just, you know, find, you always want to find guys. Like for me, I've always had mentors no matter where I'm at through the journey. So try to network, and then try to find somebody that you like and that you can learn from, and just follow them. I've had mentors that people don't even know they're my mentor. I just ask questions and kind of just build off of it from there. But yeah, I think it's great. Take action, um and when you start calling sellers, call sellers in the area outside where you're not going to do business. So if you screw up, who cares? It's free leads. It's because some people will come in new and they'll start spending money on leads and marketing, and they don't know what they're doing. So I always tell people, practice on free leads first without spending money.
Awesome.
I'm just taking notes, by the way, or just writing.
You're
Yeah, no
fine.
problem.
So Josh said over on Facebook, I believe any company with more than 200 employees needs to report via .gov on hiring, firing, layoffs, and detail if those positions are lower laborers, management, C-suite, etc. So maybe .gov. I don't know what that. I don't know where you can find that information, but yeah,
I think it's correct. Thanks, Josh. I'm 99% sure he's probably correct on that.
awesome. Yeah, I mean that's great info because really the biggest thing is they won't hire those people until the development is already done. So you got to find out before the development happens. That's when you want to get in, not after. So like right now, I mean, technically like Columbus, Ohio, they're already in the process of building the plant for the Intel chip plant. So you really wanted to be in there 2 years ago. Technically, 2 years ago would be preferred. That's when you really hit the appreciation and really get all those jobs coming in.
I was thinking that same thing. Ivan's going to jump in here. I see him coming in, but Matt, what you're saying, I was thinking the same thing. Is like you're reporting, which makes sense, but you do want to get in there before. But hey, Ivan, you had a question or something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time? The resource that he said about the jobs. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's not really a resource. It's just they need a report to .gov on hiring, firing, and layoffs.
Okay,
So I don't know where you could find that information or where the information actually goes, but .gov, G-O-V.
got it.
Yeah,
And I do have a. Go ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry. I have a completely separate question.
Hey,
Sorry.
you're good. Go ahead.
Okay, so I actually do. I got two mobile home parks and several single families. So I'm happy you said that, Mark. So question about I was in a RIA a couple days ago, and there was this fund manager there that was talking about the land and rezoning to data centers because data centers are like, we got technology growing, we got, AI, we got all kinds of stuff. Anything, do you have any insight on not only data centers and land or what the risk would be there, or why a municipality or city wouldn't rezone to a data center? Um, you know, just kind of
So
playing
I
with the
can,
waters there.
No.
yeah, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, I don't know if that's going to create a lot of jobs. I don't know how many jobs are going to be created in data centers because it's a lot of
Exactly.
Not,
computer stuff,
not
so
very
that's something to
much.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so think about that. But I think you're talking about the play is owning land and selling the land to a data center. Is that what you're thinking?
That's right. Yeah, because I have some acreage, but in a rural area that I'm gonna hopefully try to talk to the city about it. But I don't know what the risk would be, to have something like that in a rural town.
Yeah, I mean, I think in a rural town, it'll probably be okay. I mean, you're not going to need a lot of employees. So that's going to be something you just gotta, what kind of demand of the electric, that's something that's going to be
Oh.
needed. That's one of the big things. But I know, like me, I personally bought a lot of stock in some of these they're called like mini nuclear powers now. There's quite
Mm,
a few of those companies. So I've actually bought stock in some of that stuff because I'm on the same thought process of you with all these AIs, because
hmm
they're talking about they can build these small mini nuclear power stuff and they're all kind of doing it. But um it's not a bad play, quite frankly, but you're gonna I guess it would be kind of like going back in the day of like, trying to find land and maybe securitizing it like how, the oil business did,
Yep. Yep.
something like that.
Okay.
Um, and you'd have to go to them. And I'm sure a lot of these AIs and these corporations are getting huge tax benefits where they don't probably have to pay any taxes because, getting all the information. I really don't know the answer, but I like that idea. You'd have to reach out to some of these big centers like the chip centers and with these databases. So I agree with you on that one. You just kind of have to look and see.
hmm No, it's a good tip on the electricity, right? That's really good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. So, but a lot of them are kind of looking at that, and you might want to look at some of those companies that are building those, the small nuclear, and ask them like, hey, just kind of reach out to some of those. There might be some people in there that can open the doors up and kind of feeling what their thought process is. And
Yep.
they're probably buying cheap land too, where these centers are.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, I like it though. Matt, do you have any input on that?
Biggest thing is making sure that the community has room for it. Um, just because of the jobs aspect of things, they don't bring, I mean, like I think 500 square foot facility can only produce like 5 jobs typically, because it's just data. It's just like a lot of, I mean, they have a lot of electricity, but they just need 1 or 2 people there to fix something.
5,000? 5,000 square feet.
No, 500,000.
500,000. Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
wow.
they're monsters.
Yeah, they're huge buildings and
You
they
just need
they
one
don't
tech
Yeah,
guy, two tech guys, and a security guard, maybe. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
they
and
don't need much.
yeah, and they're gonna be. I mean, they're like football field size,
Yeah.
if not more. It's crazy. But if you can find it, or even cut a deal with a farmer or somebody,
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
but
Now with the previous administration, getting solar fields out there and stuff like that could be a different avenue you could go. So,
Thank you.
again, yep, I like that. It's sad. I grew up in Vermont, and it's beautiful, and I go back up there now. I'm kind of saddened because you drive through the beautiful mountainside, and you go through these fields, and you just see solar instead of.
trees.
It kind of ruined it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so that's one thing. I mean, honestly, we have like up here in Ohio, they're doing a lot of big developments like that. So, like we have the chip plant that went in, we have a Honda and Samsung battery factory that went in, and they just announced a drone factory. It's an American drone factory that it was the founder of the, I think he started the Meta head glasses, or the Oculus. He started that, and so they're opening up a weapons factory. So what they're doing is they buy a ton of land, like 15,000 acres, and then they just parse them up, like they just split them up and have all these different factories come in. So
And see, then that's great for like residential real estate. I mean, there's
yeah,
housing, so that's you just got to play off of that. That's kind of the same thing. I know somebody that did the same thing near Kennedy Space Center when SpaceX and Blue Origin, when they were coming in like 8 years ago, they bought a bunch of property, and they did really well in that particular area. They actually did some entitlement stuff and sold it off, so that would be good. Josh is saying something over there. Um,
yep. You'll want to look for a Warren report, U.S. Department of Labor.
there's the URL he posted. So
Oh, I
he
don't
posted
see.
a URL there. So Ivan, afterwards in the seller financing group, this video will be posted under featured, and you could probably the link will be there afterwards.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome, no problem. Awesome. Mark, what are some key negotiation tactics when talking to sellers about creative financing?
So the number one, why are they selling?
Okay.
Always, why are they selling? Number two, what are they planning on doing with their capital? Because if you understand those two things, that's how you get deals with very little money down to zero money down. So that's really what it comes down to. Is just building rapport, understanding them, and how to solve the problem. I love. I could go on with many different stories, but I love this one story where this guy was open to seller financing, and I don't know if anybody's listened to it, but the guy was open to seller financing, and he was open to, but he only wanted $120,000 home, but he wanted $30,000 down, and I already knew that was a problem, but I built a rapport. I got to know him, found out he banked with a credit union. He's got good credit, he's retired, and he needed $25,000 for a camper. So I took him on a journey where he's going camping, and I asked him questions where he's going to be camping. He was going on to West Virginia, New River, then Sherman. So I'm asking questions. So he's visualizing what his life's going to be like once he sells his home and he's got this camper. And
Yeah.
then I came back to him. I go, what seems to be the problem? Why can't you sell? And he goes, everybody's beating me up on my down payment. And he had no mortgage. So I said, I'm gonna be frank with you. Nobody's gonna put $30,000 down when they can go get an SDA loan, an investor loan, put less capital down. So I told him I'd give him $3,500 down. Go ahead and take a loan out for the camper for the 25,000, and on the 20th of every month, we'll go ahead and send a payment directly out of our account directly to the credit union, and we end up getting that deal for $3,500 down, and we're cash flowing $475 a month on that deal because I listened to the seller. I understood what the seller needed, and he got over 12 to 15 other offers, and everybody was beating him up. And because we built a relationship and rapport with him, we got that deal for 3,500. And then what I did is I sold it to my end buyer on a lease option, and my buyer put $18,000 down. So out of the 18,000, I gave the seller his 3,500. So I put money in my pocket at closing.
Pretty dang good.
That's just
Pretty-
one example. I can give you so many different examples.
I bet you could. I mean, with 2000, I mean, you've done 2000 million deals, it sounds like. So,
I mean, I did one where you know, the seller was behind in a mortgage. I took that one over subject to. She was 2 months behind. She needed she was going to have to come to the table with some money for a closing cost because she didn't have enough equity in it, and we locked it up, and she didn't move for a little while. So I brought a mortgage current, gave her $10,000. So I was into it for about 16. I sold it to my end buyer on a lease option. He put $25,000 down, and I put after closing costs, I put some money in my pocket on that particular one, and I got into it. I was into it for 280 something thousand, 285 maybe. Sold it to my end buyer on a 5-year lease option term for 379, and 4 year. He was into it for I was it 30, almost 4 years. Shoot,
okay,
sorry about that.
you're good.
Wish I had some water here.
Go get some water real quick. You're
It's
good.
all good. So, anyways, excuse me one second. So they said they weren't going to be able to buy it, so they were concerned about their down payment, that or the option fee. And I said, I looked it up. I sold it to them, remember, for 379. The property was worth 465 now.
Yeah.
So I said, no problem. I'll give you your money back, less wear and tear. Sorry, let me give it some water. Excuse me one
Yeah,
second.
you're good. So, when it comes to finding those areas that are going to have more jobs coming in, it is so important to just know the area as well. Because some air, so like say for example, you have Columbus. Columbus is huge, and you got to make sure that you're buying in the right area in that part of town. You got to make sure you're buying close to the factory, within at least 20 minutes, because a lot of times that is where sometimes you'll have the contractors move in that area that just want a short-term thing, or they might want to buy a house in that area. So it's just good to know proximity, how close you are to the facility. You got some water in you?
I did. Now I'm going to take a cough drop, but that was kind of, you know, the allergies. I don't know about where you are, but the allergies are just kicking right here,
Not
down
yet.
here.
Not yet.
Oh,
Almost.
yep. Had Lake Norman on Wednesday for the long weekend, and I hear the pollen up there is really bad, North Carolina.
Oh, I bet.
So I'm not looking forward to that. So anyways, those are the type of deals like I love to buy through seller financing and sell through seller financing, negotiate a really low down payment with the seller and use my end buyer's capital. That's what I really like doing. And make sure you get enough money to put in reserves. So if something goes bad, I like to have 3 to 6 months of payments put in reserve. So I try to get as much as possible down for my end buyer.
No, that makes
Mark,
sense.
quick question. On that strategy, how many, I guess I got a two-part question. How many of your option, how many of your tenants, I guess you sold it on lease option, actually exercise their option? That would be my first question. And then the second question would be, if anyone was worried about their down payment, do you ever do like an option on the option? For an
Yes.
example, great. Okay, cool.
Yep.
So I
I
guess
know
my
what you
first
mean.
question. Yeah, yeah. How
So
many? Go ahead. Sorry.
my buyers are very have a high success rate on buying my properties because I want them to buy it. That was just
Okay.
a freak. Um, Honestly, that's where I get the pleasure and the joy from is watching homeowners, people that normally can't become homeowners, where they become homeowners. That feeling, I don't know if you have kids or whatnot, but that feeling of watching a family becoming
Yeah.
homeowners, I really enjoy that. So that's for me, it's a high percentage because I underrate, I make sure people qualify. I had a guy one time, um, he owned a roofing company, and I was only looking for $12,500 down. That's all I wanted. But this guy wanted the property so bad. I told him at the end of the term, it was like a 3-year term. I said, you're going to have to show capital on the books to be able to get that loan at the end. Because I'm
Hmm.
not going to do that. I don't want to do that. And he goes, I can't sell you the property because you're not going to be able to qualify. He goes, I'll give you $24,000. He was willing to double it down, give me $24,000, but I still turned him down because I knew if he didn't show his money on the books of his business, he wasn't going to be able to get the loan.
Yeah.
So I actually turned him down. I ended up going with somebody that only had $8,500 to put down, and I put him on a payment plan for the difference of that 12,500. So on
Why
that
not?
particular property,
You could hold a note too, right? Why not hold a note? Or you want to
that's
be in?
exactly what it is. That's exactly
Oh,
what it
okay.
was. It was a note. So I created a note for the difference. What was it, like 4,500 or something like that for. So they didn't have the full. So, but you want to make sure. For me, I make sure that they can afford it off that
Mm,
extra month over 2 years or whatever that note payment is. Um, but I got to tell you though, if they don't have enough skin in the game, those are the deals that usually have issues.
yeah,
You
you're
know,
right.
just to give you a heads up on that. That's what I've always found. But I've done that before. Um, I've even on assignment fees. I don't do a lot of assignments, but I had a deal one time. I didn't want the deal. It was in a state that I didn't want to do business in. So my assignment fee, what I wanted 15,000, and to make the deal work, it was going to be I had to drop it to 5,000. So I said, this is what I'll do. Instead of my assignment fee being 15,000, my assignment fee is going to be 30,000, and I'll finance it over 5 years. And I took
Mm,
zero down, and I got monthly payments off. I collected monthly payments from it that way.
love that. Yeah. Do you know Pete Fortunato? Are you in Florida, Mark?
I
Did you
am.
say you were? Okay. Do you
I'm
know
in
Pete
Boca
Fort?
Raton.
Oh, you're down south. Okay, gotcha. You don't know
I
Pete
don't.
Fortunato? Oh, he's out of
No.
Tampa. He does like very, very creative stuff. Like he's been doing it since like the 70s. So, but it
Um.
just similar. Like you just sound like him.
Yeah. Pete. What's the name of? Do you know the name of his company?
He's just solo, just Peter Fortunato. That's it. But
The last name kind of sounds familiar, but maybe if I seen him,
yeah,
because we all do a big event in Tampa once a year. We all go over there, us creative guys.
yeah, love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Somebody
So
had a
it's kind of.
question.
There we go.
Somebody had a question.
Yeah, Berlin, go ahead and ask.
Oh,
How are
hi.
you?
How are you?
Very well.
I am in Florida myself, but while we're talking about seller financing, so I am in a little puzzle right now because I am in a process of I want to make a deal, but I'm not sure exactly how to bring the financing option to the seller. So pretty much I want to purchase like an ALF, a house that has a business in it. The house, it's okay, but the business side of it, that's what I'm having the issue. So I'm even trying to see if the seller would take some do a seller financing, me putting some money down and pay per month. But the realtor is really a pain for me to go through. So that's why I'm stuck.
So what I normally do is I say, hey, do you mind if we all jump on a phone conference call or sit down and meet all together and have them build again? Because when you're doing seller financing, it's relationship building, and it's hard to build that relationship when you have somebody in the middle. But at the same time, what I do before that, I would start building a really good relationship with the realtor and tell them what you're doing and what you want, because they can end up bringing you more deals. So treat a realtor like a seller, and just start building rapport, like, hey, what we're at, do you have any others? This is, that type of situation. So I try to build a good rapport with the realtor, and then approach it with, hey, do you mind if we all jump on a phone call? Because eh, eh, you know and I explained it to the realtor, when I'm doing a seller financing strategy, it's a marriage. We're in a long-term commitment. No offense, but what we're doing, how you're structuring this, is kind of like a blind marriage. Would you enter into a blind marriage? So, and I'm not trying to cut you around, Mr. Realtor. And if you see what my approach is, I'm looking to do more business with more. So you can see what my buy box is. And I did 18 deals with one realtor one year because I did that same approach. That realtor brought me deals because he saw it's easier to do business with one person that they know, doing 18 deals versus trying to get 18 different buyers and or sellers and going through that path, or buyers, or whatever you want to call it. So that's kind of how I do it. I like to, let's just all sit down, and you could also structure that as a partnership buyout agreement too. So that might be another option in the business.
What that mean exactly?
So you do like you want them to do a seller financing, right?
Yeah.
So you could go into that LLC and do a partnership with them in that LLC and then structure a partnership buyout agreement. Like it's another form of seller financing.
Okay. Partnership buyout agreement. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, why are they selling?
That's the part I am it's hard. Maybe the mistake I made, I probably lost patience a little bit with the real estate agent.
I get it.
Um it's really hard for me to even talk. It seems like she's making decision for the seller. So that being said, I'm not sure if she's even involved into the business or how involved is she, or maybe she knows the seller personally. I'm not sure.
Sit
So
down
she's
and
really
I
making a lot of decisions for them.
do you live near them?
I live about 3 hours and a half
Oh,
from them.
okay. Um, so and how many beds?
It's a 4 beds, but we can do two per
Yeah.
room. So the capacity. So if the number would make sense, but again, what I'm seeing. So I was even trying to say, hey, is it a full house? She's not even giving me all that information. Nothing. It's really frustrating.
Is she giving you any financials?
No, she wants me to send my to sign an NDR, which I did, but she said, "Oh, send me your approvals." But my lender's like, "Oh, in order for me to give you an approvals, I need to actually see the numbers what we're looking at." It's
Yeah.
just it's
Yeah. So I would just try to build a rapport with a realtor and then how long's it been listed for? I hate to do it, but I mean, I don't like to go around realtors. I always try to go through realtors first, give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's work together. This is what I mean, and just say, would you buy a property or would your lender give you these numbers? And I always ask them the question, like, let them think. Um, do you know a lender that it's okay giving me a letter that I don't need to provide financials? Ask
exactly.
her that. Ask her that. Throw it back on her. So if you make her think, instead of button heads, ask her questions so she's going to think, oh, I guess I understand where she's coming from. You know, have
Okay.
how many, hey, do you know any other properties that are 3 or 4 bedrooms that we can kind of lump them together and in that's nearby? So if the real human nature, people are greedy. Humans are greedy. So if they think they're going to make more money,
Mhm.
they're not going to step and do more for you. Like, hey, do you know any other properties? Hey, I'm looking for, hey, can you find some properties that I'll give you? Like, one of the questions I love asking, and this is how I know if they're motivated to a seller financing strategy. Would you be willing to rent that property to us for a few years and then we'll close on it? We'll take care of the maintenance and repairs. If
Okay.
they say yes, then I know they're open to some type of seller financing strategy. Now, I may not do a rent to own, but I just know they're open to it. And then I start pulling more information out. Like, like subject to, like, for me, I would never pitch a subject to a seller that's not financial distress. Hey, Mr.
Yeah.
Seller, keep the mortgage in your name transfer. So then I do a different strategy, like an agreement for deed or land contract or something different on those lines. But
Okay.
you're still controlling it. You're still getting the same outcome. Like I still get the depreciation and taxes how I structure my contracts.
Yeah.
A lease option, you won't be able to do that. It's all the seller, but you still get in a deal and you still can make money from it. Like
Yes.
that one. It's like what you're doing, that model, what you're doing is you can find properties and do a lease option on it, do a lease agreement. Like, um, does that kind of make sense? Like you can buy a property and sublet it and run your business or whatever you want to do
That's
inside of it.
that's plan B, but when I was looking at her, it's because the business already established.
I get it. Yeah,
It's
I totally
running,
get it.
So
It's so much
I was,
easier.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was
and why are
running.
they selling? You're gonna have to step back and really work with the realtor and go
Okay.
down that path and spend 80% getting to know her, how you been, like
Okay.
just do your best on that. And
Thank you.
you gotta befriend her or him or her,
Yeah,
whoever
just
the realtor is.
thank you, Mark.
It's a pain in the ass, I get it.
It is.
It's a game. Realtors are always like think they're God sometimes,
Oh my God.
especially the older ones that have been in it forever.
All right. We got Jordan over here over on Facebook. I mentioned the question in your group about about using DSCR loans to sell on CFD or lease option. I feel like this could be a very scalable way to do a ton of deals. What do you think about that?
I responded back to you on that, Jordan. Jordan's in the private group, the membership group. But yeah, I responded back to you. I think I even did a video on that. But yeah, I like that option. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, some of the other guys in the group, they putting offers out there, and doing the exact same strategy. I think you might have even given them the idea because I think that was last week, and they're talking about it today. Doing
Oh, the
the
SCR?
DSCR. Yeah, yep, exactly on that. So I like that strategy. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. You know, nothing at all on that one. It's perfectly. And DSCR loans are, because it's a commercial loan, so there's different regulations. So you have a little bit more flexibility versus the typical conventional lenders and FHA and VA. So I don't I that's perfectly fine. And then you're right. Use your end buyer's capital when you sell it to try to use that as your down payment to get into it. Usually, what happens if you put more than 10% down, you have to kind of lease options are kind of gone out the door because if that goes bad, and you go to court, the judge is going to rip you apart because they should have equitable interest in the property. Once you get over, like they're going to look at you taking advantage, and you could be viewed as a predatory. So just be
Right.
careful. And then if that's the case, I would probably sell it on like an agreement for deed or contract for deed, whatever you want to call that. Give them a little bit more equitable interest in the property if they're putting that much down because most DSCRs you're probably going to need about 20% down, but it's going to also be difficult to. What I found is usually hard to find a buyer that has that 20%, but they're there. Um, so that is an option.
Okay.
You know,
No, that's great. I didn't know that was really a thing. Do it that
well,
way.
the other once you know, one of my members of my group, she found a buyer that had 100K to put down. So, but what happened was the buyer called on hers, and I've done this. Like right now, it's a kind of a good market for this too. You can go out there, find your buyer that has a large down payment, and then go out there and try to structure a deal. She ended up putting 51K in her pocket because she structured a deal that way because she
Wow.
had money left over. Just keep in mind. Again, I'm not an attorney, but I just want to advise you guys. If you're putting a homestead buyer in that property, make sure you use a third-party licensed RMLO because there's consumer protection regulations. A lot of people don't know that, so just be very cautious of that. I don't
Um,
see how it is a little bit of difference because the deed is not transferring. Eddie Speed was quick to say that I was doing fraud though. In Texas, it could be because Texas, you're not in Texas lease option, and because that's where Eddie's out of, and in Texas, you can't do contract for deed, so that's where you might be referring to because that's where he does most of his business, Eddie. So I could see where he's coming from on that. So that is something you need to make sure you guys, when you're doing these strategies, make sure you check with your state on those for those type of regulations.
all right. Now, real quick, I want to know. Drop a yes in the chat or a no in the chat if you've learned something new. If you've learned something new, drop a yes. If you didn't learn something new, drop a no. I'm pretty sure just about everybody learned something new tonight, but I want to see. I want to see. Yes, yes, awesome. Over on Facebook, do the same thing. If you're sitting here listening, let us know. We got yes over here. Yes, yes, yes. Awesome. Love it. Love it. Mark has lots of knowledge in his brain, all about subject to and creative financing and wrap mortgages and I mean, there's so many different types that he has going on. He's always learning something or telling something new. Awesome, awesome. We got Lisa over there saying yes. Awesome, Facebook. All right. So if you did not know, Jordan, yes, I see that. Awesome. And Carlo, awesome. Welcome in, Carlo. Didn't see you earlier. Welcome in. So if you guys didn't know, Mark has a private mentorship. It's a great time for you to learn how to do this and have like a group over on the private Facebook group that where Jordan asked that question earlier. It's a great place for you to go learn in a more, uh, you know, serious setting. People that are in this group are there to learn and there to actually take action. So over there, we got action takers. If I highly recommend you finding out more about the program. which we have. I'll do this. I'm putting in the chat over here the link for you to hop on a call with our team. It's just see if you're a good fit for the program. We don't accept everybody because not everybody's ready to hop in and do what Mark's doing. You got to have some experience. You got to be able to know how to talk to, just delete the message. Dang it. You got to be able to know how to talk to the sellers. You got to be able to talk to the realtors because there's language in there that could scare people away. If you go too complicated, you're going to scare people away. So you got to be able to dumb it down. And I saw you post your book, was it yesterday or the day before? And someone said
Oh,
it looks like the book for dummies.
I didn't even realize that when I picked the colors out. You know what it was is when I used to do a ton of bandit signs, and I used to
Okay.
get a lot of business that way, ton of bandit signs, and I always picked up black and white because at night it would pop, you know. But yeah, so whoops,
Oop, that
uh,
didn't work.
yeah, right here, it's the book, and it was #1 on Amazon for a couple weeks. But yeah, so everybody kept asking me for years, once you put a book together. And what happened was a couple years ago, my other half's father was sick, so we were in Palm Springs, and wrote the book and put it together and published it. And a month later, Chat GTP comes out. I'm like, damn it.
Well,
I did cheat a little bit. I talked into a remote and talked into my phone, and I used a ghostwriter. So I did cheat a little bit.
but you know what? That's some of the hardest things to do is write a book. Um, People always talk about how it's so easy. No, it's not. That's a lot of writing.
I gotta tell you something though. Like thrown st I've thrown some stuff in Chat GTP, and I'm like, holy crap, where was this? It just blew my mind away, like how fast it could take stuff and put it together. I'm like, and it's pretty much accurate on most of that stuff, most of the time, not all the time. But I can't wait for the day where I can just plug an address in. I have a piece of land, and it will automatically run, look at the zoning, figure out the cost per square foot in that area, the cost for the infrastructure, and figure out a development project. I can't wait for that day to come.
Yeah.
Boom, you know exactly exactly what your numbers will be in seconds. That'll be awesome. How many homes you can build, it knows the cost square footage in there. I can't wait for that.
No, that's awesome. No, I agree. It's being able to use the AI that we're getting. Like I know who was that was talking about? Was it Ivan talking about the data centers? I
Yeah.
mean, there needs to be more because I mean, Facebook literally just started deleting Facebook lives from everybody. So it's definitely important to, you know, have that. I'm actually getting this link still. So if you can keep going, Mark, I'm almost there.
Who's got a question? Well, Matt's playing around with that. Anybody has a question? I like, give me a tough question. Give me a fun one. This is fun. I enjoyed talking to Ivan because I love talking to high level. That's one thing, like whatchamacallit talked about Eddie Speed. I enjoy having conversations with Eddie. Um, and I love talking in the note world because you guys are learning the front end of like how to structure these type of deals. But once you understand it, you can start selling these notes off, and there's another whole entire world in notes, and that's where it gets really fun. I enjoy those type of conversations on that. Um, Ivan, you want to say something? I see you pop back in there.
Yeah, well, I'll give you some kind of a challenge that I'm having. How about since everybody's quiet, I'll ask a question. So, personal question. I'm having a challenge with my park, and I've asked this to a couple people, and I just want to maybe get your input because you own some parks. All right, so I own the dirt and the homes. I have one in a C class, one in a B class. I'm gonna specifically talk about my C class park, and I want to sell those homes off to those tenants. But I vet all my tenants. We do background checks, but my turnover on those things are just outrageous. We don't do a good job, I guess, picking the right tenant. They seem good on paper, and all of a sudden they trash the damn place, and I'm putting in, 5 to 10 grand back into it. But the main goal, of course, is to sell those on notes. Um, I don't know what the heck I'm doing wrong with these. I've had it for 2 years and it's the same
Yeah.
over and over.
It's the type of asset class, quite
Hmm.
frankly, but instead of selling them on notes, are you selling them on a lease op or like a rent to own type of situation? That's what we did on ours. So one of them that we had 58 park owned homes in there, and we've been doing them. And we had a couple of headaches, but we've been doing well with them, a little by little. Is it hard to? How difficult would it be to increase the class level? Or is it going to cost too much from a C to a B?
We're trying. That is the next phase. That's kind of like our 2025 goal. Good question on that. We're going to be so it's a city water and sewer, and the next phase is to, I guess, for me would be pave the roads, increase the infrastructure, and then I guess from there start pulling in, way better units instead of 1980s type homes. I guess is what you're asking, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to get better quality. You're gonna have to bump up the class a little bit. Otherwise, you're always gonna have that. You're always gonna have that as a little bit of a problem, you know.
And when you say, so to me, class wise, it was not bringing in new homes, but is that part of it to bring in newer units?
Or just dress it up first of all. Try to do as best as you can. Like you said, to pave the roads, maybe some landscapings, some lighting, just to kind of the appearance level at least to try to get it to a C plus.
Hmm.
That type of thing, and then maybe a little by little try to figure out how you can. Do you have who you working with Vanderbilt, like trying to bring the newer homes in or something?
No, straight cash, just
Yeah,
ourselves.
reach out to how many pads in that place?
I have 14 right now, but it could be up to about 20. Um,
Yeah, reach out
rural
to Vanderbilt. Yeah, reach out to Vanderbilt. They have financing. They may even give you a line of credit and stuff.
and their belt. Okay.
Yeah, they have a whole special division for um mobile home park owners and also selling mobile homes as well.
Cool. Thank you.
I hear you what you're saying. That's what we do with ours. Is just you just got to do your best to try to get it up there and then it's tough. It's advertise the best way you can as possible to advertise those as I do it more of a lease option to try to get rid of them. How long does it take to evict somebody in there?
Mm, 2 months, maybe.
It's not bad.
Something.
What
No,
state?
Missouri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would just got to keep doing the best and just kind of keep going through and just kind of screening them out, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
Have them try to get a little skin in the game from them
Yeah, that's the other thing. We bumped ours from 500 to 1,000. We're trying to see
for the
uh,
down payments.
for well, they do first month, last month. So my average is like 850 a month per unit, right? So we do first month, last month, and then security deposit. So the security deposit was only 500. We bumped that up to 1,000 recently in the last 6 months to see the quality from there. So
Yeah,
almost three
you
grand.
need them. Yeah, have them try to put a little bit more money down. That will help
Okay.
filter them out a little bit, especially have a little bit more skin in the game.
Okay. We'll do that.
All right.
That's kind of what I would my approach. Go ahead, Matt. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, you're good. I got the link. I dropped it in the chat. Schedule a call. See if it's a good fit for you. That's Mark's mentorship program. That was a minute. It took me a minute to find it. I had to change some things were changed, so I had to fix it. So just hop on there, schedule a call. It's free. It's a 15-minute call just to see if it's a good fit for you. Mark has a wealth of knowledge, as you can see. He's ready to drop knowledge into your brain and help you excel in real estate.
Somebody has one more question.
Yes, one more question. How do I identify a good property to invest in?
Um, you got to really. Everybody has their own buy box, so you got to figure out what your buy box is. So for me, I like nice homes and nice neighborhoods. I don't like them too old. If they are, then you have to look at like really. a lot more of the property, the roof and everything like that. So I will look at older ones, but that's something to keep in mind. Um, and just for me, I look at the monthly cash flow. That's one of the things I look at, and then my entry. Um, that's what most people start out with looking. And but what I would do first is I would just get on the phone and also my buy box. Like, yeah, you want a buy box you want to put together. Like my buy box is whatever the median price range for that area is, 20% above and 20% below. So let's say it's a $250,000 median price range. My max is 300 and my low is 200. I will look at things below 200 because it could be in a nice neighborhood, but most of the time it's going to be in a war zone. And if you go above, like say the 300, it's easy to find a property. Like, oh yeah, I can find this. I can get the seller financing. It's 500,000, but it's very challenging to find your tenant or your buyer because that is outside of that median price range. So that's one of my buy boxes. And I like 3 bedrooms, 2 baths near a good school area. And then because I like to put my tenant buyers, my tenants in there. I like them to be family with children because they don't want to keep moving and they want to keep their children in that area and they raise them. That's what I like on those. Now, if I buy multifamily in a state that's not landlord friendly, then I'm going after Section 8 and I'm looking for people that are like 45 and older and because they're quiet, but they're Section 8. So it depends on where I'm looking at and what market, but my go-to is always a nice area and people that can't sell homes. Excuse me one second. And then what I would do is practice jump on Zillow for sale by owner, look for properties been sitting for 2 months more, just start asking questions and say, hey, would you be willing to rent the property to us for a few years and we close on it? We'll take care of the maintenance repairs and kind of go down that path. And then the motivation, this is my motivation. It's asking questions. Well, it sounds like a nice property. Why would you want to sell? They're going to tell you why. That's the motivation. And then if you can't sell the property, what are you going to do? And I just shut up. If you can't sell the property, what are you going to do? Well, I guess I'm going to rent it. Well, ding, ding, ding. Reach out to me. You don't have to pay a property manager. And and 70% of my deals come from follow-ups because I make an offer and you don't want it. They try selling it traditionally. And also make offers that work for you too. Don't make an offer that always works for the seller. Don't take advantage of the seller, but make an offer that works for you. Sometimes these sellers are trying to put offers out there and you can get a seller financing. You lock it up and then you have a hard time. You're trying to find your buyer and you can't find a buyer because they're asking way too much money in the monthly payments and also too much down. For me, I'm looking for a minimum of $500 a month on my properties when like I love buying through seller financing and I sell it through a lease option. That's my go-to. And I always get as much low down payment and then um, build up bird dogs. I have over 600 bird dogs that feed me deals. I built a whole system out, trashmen, they know the neighborhood, landscapers, snowplow removals. The list goes on, Uber drivers. My home run deals, my best deals come from hospice nurses. Best deals. So just build up your network and keep building and just have many different ways of how is getting leads coming into you and always you have to have many different sources. So, but it was a pleasure. Hopefully that helped you.
Thanks.
Awesome. All right, guys, make sure to schedule a call. I just dropped the link in both chats. I'm going to drop it again just in case, because you never know. I messed it up. So there we go. I dropped it in. There it is on Facebook, also on Zoom. There we go. Schedule a call. It is free. It is just to see if we can help you out and see if you are a good fit for the program and see if we can help you buy your first property or help you scale because a lot of times most of our members are just looking to scale in general. Right, Mark?
I like it. It was a great one tonight. Berlin, good luck with it. Leila, good luck. I'm all you guys. Everybody had Jordan. Everybody had some great stuff tonight. So thank you
Last
guys so much.
question. Can I get one
Go
more?
right ahead. Yep.
Mark, you got anything for sale?
I am, but the Dollar General dollar stores actually when
Uh,
I get off, I got to review the LOI. Um,
Gotcha.
I had a
And that
text
up my
message.
alley.
No, it was 13 units, but it's on a public water and sewer, and so it's a great location. So that's kind of what I'm actually got to review that. So, do I have anything else? What do you, I like that. You got anything to sell? There you go. That's the, see what he just did? That was a prime example of what he just did to you guys. One more question. Got anything? That's how you guys do it. And then also, like, when you talk to sellers, do you know anybody else that's selling? You know,
Yeah.
that's great. That's a good job. I like that, Ivan. Thank you for sharing that. All right, guys. Pleasure, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Be well. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Yep. That was good. It was a great one tonight. Yep. Let's see here. Perfect. Oh, I gotta shut down Facebook.